family, it is Jeanette the Oracle. Welcome to today's Oracle Talks. I hope everyone is doing well. I got called to come and provide some guidance for all of us, myself included, because there was this feeling or this sense about, what now? And that is connected to the Mercury Retrograde. So this will essentially be a Mercury retrograde message, but I think it's also relevant for wherever you may be in your life. So yeah, take it as it resonates. You may actually feel that this is a continuation of the conversation I had before around dealing with disappointment. So if you really resonated with that, then you may find that this really speaks to things that you may be feeling. But first, let me say hi to everybody that's coming in. Welcome. Let me wave to everyone. Thank you for joining. Say hello. Let us know where you're joining from, what you're sipping on, if anything. I am joining from sunny California. It is now sunny. It was raining like crazy a couple days ago. But yes, I'm joining from California, and I have some water. I had my tea earlier, so. So we're going to talk about that. So Mercury retrograde / this question about, what else is there essentially. So if you are someone who is currently feeling like, you've gotten to a place in your life where you've maybe accomplished a lot, or maybe even haven't, like maybe you are actually still dealing with feelings of disappointment, maybe resentment or bitterness, what have you, but you're just kind of at this place of like, okay, well, what now? Like, what next? And maybe it's not even for, your own personal experience. Maybe you're actually feeling that with just the state of the world, your local community, the city, the state you live in, the nation you live in, global things happening. And yeah, you may be in that place of like, okay, what else is there? What's next? So if you are feeling that, let me know. Put a comment below. Also, for those of you who are joining, please like the video, and also please share this with anyone who you feel would resonate with these messages, especially if you've been having these conversations with friends and family, and really been doing a lot of self-inquiry, maybe because of eclipse season or because of this Mercury retrograde influence. This is actually our first Mercury retrograde of the year. So it is a very important and potent one. But these questions are not, they're not small. They're big and they carry a lot of weight, yeah? We'll do that. So as it relates to, what now, what else is there? Again, this is specifically about, our dreams, our desires, what we want, what we've envisioned, all that kind of stuff. And when I was sitting with Spirit with this, I essentially was given like 3 different kind of buckets that folks may be sitting in as it relates to this idea. So for one group, there's an opportunity for all the groups, there's an opportunity to ask yourself these questions, to do a little deep dive and see what's really going on. Hello to folks coming in, welcome. So for one group, if you're in that place of like, what else is there for me? What's next? I'm just kind of like floating and don't really, I feel kind of lost. I don't know what direction to go in. Is to actually take a look back and see what desires you may have had that have been on the back burner, that you have had to put there for other reasons, whether you're pursuing something else, maybe there was, some hardship that you were going through, what have you. But for one group, it's like, no, you actually have, quote unquote, old desires or dreams, wants, needs, wishes that are there, but you've put them on the back burner, and they've been on the back burner for a while. And so the place you need to actually look is there, right? Looking to the past for what you may have forgotten, what you may have devalued, what you may have postponed, right? Then the second group is a group that Spirit was just basically saying, like, you know, it's not that you don't know, but you've actually been procrastinating on certain desires, certain dreams, goals, wishes, wants, right? So, you know, what are you procrastinating on? What are you not giving as much attention to that you can give attention to? And then the third group that was coming through was those who, you know, may have accomplished their goals, may have fulfilled their desires from the past, and might not have anything presently that they're working on or working towards, like they've just achieved everything, or they just gotten to a place in their life where they are settled and, you know, have accepted where they are, whether they're happy with that or not, but they've accepted where they are. And it's like, okay, well, what is actually next? And so the message that was coming through from Spirit is that you have more dreams, right? There are more desires, there are more wants and wishes that are actually available to you. Can you allow yourself the time and the space to dream new dreams, to desire new desires? Can you allow that for yourself? You know, it might be a situation where if you dig a little deeper, you do actually know what those new further dreams are, but maybe in the past they've been so far off because, you know, you were younger, less experienced, or what have you, that you weren't really kind of thinking about them. And now that you are at the age that you are now, or with the experience that you have now, you realize that, oh, that dream, that desire, that goal, whatever, is actually closer. So I need to kind of like revisit and circle back. Like that might be for some of you. For others of you, there might not be a situation like that, and you really do have to dream new dreams. And so, yeah, can you allow yourself the space to do that, of like, with all the possibilities of here, that all that I've been exposed to and experienced, what is possible for, you know, potentially evolving into the next stage of a particular path that I like, or what's maybe something completely different that I haven't been exposed to. An interesting thing that came through with that last group for that section in particular with Spirit was, can you also have the courage to start anew if you need to be in that role of beginner again when it comes to dreaming those new dreams or those new desires? Yeah, this just fell out of my hand, the Fool card. Like, can you start over from scratch in some cases if need be? Can you have that beginner's mind? Or do you have this mindset of like, I'm too old now, or I'm too set in my ways, or I've gone too far on this particular path, like it's going to take too much to go over to this other path, like, you know, the stuff will come up. So those are the three groups we're going to address. Let me know if any of those groups resonates with you, so you can put a number in the comments. One for the first group, looking to the past, what might have been on the back burner. Group 2, stuff that you are procrastinating on currently. And group 3, looking ahead to the future to dream new dreams. And what I'm going to be doing actually is getting guidance from Spirit about how to support all of us, depending on whichever group we resonate with. It may only be one group, it may be a few, depends. But guidance to help us actually like take action and build momentum in the direction that we want. It's all resonating. Not all of it, my goodness. It's all good. All right, so let me get the cards out. So I'm going to be getting guidance around like our consciousness, wisdom, then around our power, and then around our will. And all three of those things may need to be addressed, or maybe none of it, again, depending on the situation. And then hopefully this will bless you. is doing well. Interesting energy already so far. Only have a couple more cards to get out. So I'm pulling 3 cards for each of the 3 groups. We will start with the we'll start with the first group first. Yeah, very interesting energy. Last 3 cards. And then since this should actually be a pretty short message, if folks have questions about their specific situation, I'll have time to answer that. So keep that in mind if you still need additional guidance for your specific situation. Welcome to folks coming in. We are doing essentially a Mercury retrograde in Aries message right now, but specifically around this feeling or the sense that seems to be really prevalent in the collective around what else is there for me, what's next. And it's definitely coming from an energy of, on one hand, possible loss of hope or dissatisfaction, disillusionment. And on the other hand, a lot of openness, creativity, and courage, but a lack of specificity and direction, possibly. And really wanting to know like where to place one's focus. I'm still trying to get I have 2 cards left out and they're just not. This is for groups 2 and 3 around stuff with wills, so we'll see what's going on. Too many cards now. That's the ladder for you. Yes. Yeah, I feel that. Same for me, but I know folks are also like feeling the other 2, so yay eclipse season for that. Finally, beautiful. Wow. Alrighty, the specificity is escaping me. Right. Yeah, one of the things I've been trying to do is just to focus on like the energetic connections for new Maya and like stabilizing that in the field. But still, it's like, okay, what next? For real. Okay, so group 1. So in the consciousness / wisdom space, we have the Queen of Cups. Group 2, we have the 3 of Swords. And then group 3, we have the 10 of Pentacles. So again, as a reminder for folks who are just joining, group 1 is Spirit essentially saying that there are dreams that are on the back burner or that have been on the back burner that are available for you to look at again and circle back to. Group 2 is there are things that you are kind of working on now or recently, meaning like within the last 12 to 18 months that you've kind of been procrastinating on that deserve more of your attention. And then group 3 is future goals. So in terms of what might be needed to help support moving you forward on things. Right now, it looks like, at least in terms of like consciousness, awareness, perception, the tougher energy, if you will, is group 2 with the 3 of Swords. I put that in quotes because that can talk about, in some cases, apathy or kind of licking your wounds from a sense of disappointment. But in a positive sense, it's like being able to perceive things clearly and make strong, wise decisions. So it's really going to depend. For this first group with the Queen of Cups, I'm not necessarily picking up anything negative with this. It seems to be clear. Like the intuition is okay, so it's clear that it's clear. So there's no issue with the consciousness. So if you're not sure about what group you're in, if you actually take a look back and just do a little bit of self-reflection, there is clarity about if there is something that you put on the back burner, that there's something for you to circle back to, or if there's not. But there's not going to be any hindrance for your ability to perceive if there's something in the past for you or not. So there's not really any issue that I'm picking up for group 1 folks. So that's good. So that means the identification process is solid. For group 2, again, as I mentioned, it's really going to depend. So if you are more on the not so great feeling side of this, then there's going to be difficulty perceiving because there's a filter of maybe not valuing or thinking that, those desires, dreams, goals, whatever that you have, that you're procrastinating on, deserve your time and attention, right? So if that is the case for those of you in group 2, then that's an invitation to do some deeper work on dissecting where those thoughts are coming from and what has actually caused you to think that. It might be some comparison stuff that's come up. It might be because you are wanting to get some type of validation from the outside. This is a 3. So this is within the self. It doesn't have anything to do with other people. So this is a self-correction that needs to happen, a self-adjustment. So that's something you have to look at. Maybe also, depending on what it is, there were things going on in your life that kind of, again, made you feel that it wasn't as important to deal with because other stuff was more urgent. And maybe like that urgency is gone now and you're like, well, who am I to circle back to this? Like I need to focus on things that, maybe have more relevance. Welcome to folks coming in. Or you may still be dealing with some of that tougher stuff and you're like, oh, well, who am I to actually like focus on things that I want and desire, right? When I have all this other tough stuff going on. And yeah, we've all been there. But just because you have tough things going on in your life does not mean you can't also be cultivating good things in your life. There is pretty much always the opportunity to do so, and it really does come from that perspective. It obviously is harder to do, to allow yourself to do, but yeah, that's there. Now for the other folks in group 2, where this is more the positive side, where you do have clear perception, then again, it's not going to be an issue because you'll be able to easily see like, oh yeah, I'm actually procrastinating on this or this or this. I just need to finish that. So there you go. Welcome to the folks coming in. And then so for third group with the 10 of Pentacles. So, this is one of those legacy cards. It's not just you, it involves other people because it's a 10. Essentially anything that's 4 or less is about you. And then once we get past that, it's you navigating the outside world. So very much, involving others, whether it's one other or a group of others. Since it's a 10, I would probably say like a group of others. So these are like really like bigger goals that I usually refer to as like visions, because they necessarily can't be accomplished just by you. It actually is a collective investment of time, energy, resources for people that have like a similar goal. So for some of you in group 3, you do actually have clarity about what this is, so there's not really an issue, similar to like group 1. For others in group 3, part of what may be tripping you up about what's next is you're actually dreaming too small, and you have to actually allow yourself to dream bigger in a way that would necessarily involve other people, which also would mean the giving up of some power and control, because it's a shared vision, shared dream. Okay? So any questions on that, you can put in the comments. I will answer. And then we'll move on to power. So this is like the passion, the actual desire, like if that fuel, if the heart of that thing is actually there. Oh, what's that emoji for? Was that for the group 3 message or group 2 message? I get a drink of water while you type. One thing that's coming through actually right now in terms of timing, for group 1 and group 2, these are things that actually can be accomplished relatively quickly. For group 3, since it's 10 of Pentacles, this takes a long time. Pentacles in general takes the longest time out of all of the elements, but yeah, 10 of Pentacles is a long time. Dreaming too small. Cool. All right, so let's go to the next level. So for group 1, we have the King of Cups. So we have both the King and Queen with group 1, so that's lovely. Group 2, we have Ace of Wands. And in group 3, we have 7 of Swords. So again, this is relating to power. So like the energy of the thing. Yeah, essentially the energy of the thing required to, well, not the energy of the thing, the energy, I guess, required by you to accomplish the thing. Hold on, let me get clarity. One sec. Yeah, I think it's the energy that you have to complete the thing or achieve the thing. I don't think it depends, actually. So it's either the energy required for the thing or the energy that you bring to it. Ugh, one second. So that's a yes. It's a very strong yes. Okay, so it depends. So then is it both? Yeah, and it's more so it's both, because it also, depending on what the desire is, may also involve others, right? So it's all the things. Oh, hello, welcome. Joining from the UK, drinking water. Lovely. Okay, so group one, folks. So group one, again, this is for people who have dreams or desires that were put on the back burner from the past and they're being asked to go circle back to. So in terms of your power around this, so this is actually really good because there's a lot of experience and mastery here, and because of where you are now, you'll actually be able to achieve the thing or accomplish a thing or get what you want a lot faster and in a way that you receive fulfillment deeper than you might have thought possible before. Yeah, so it's not going to be once you get the ball rolling, the motivation will spark up again and the momentum will pick up and maintain. So I don't see any hindrance with that for the group one folks. So yeah, if you do have things from the past, like deeper past, not the past 18 months or so, it is valuable to pick it back up again, and you can do so. You have the energy and the fortitude for it. So there's no like deficiency around that at all. Okay. For group two, we have the Ace of Wands. So this is for folks who have stuff current or relatively recently that they are procrastinating on. The Ace for me is both a lot of energy and a little energy. Because like it burns pure and burns bright and burns big, but it burns fast. So it's more susceptible to being influenced by the whims of you, the world around you, etc. This is one I would say for this group in particular, especially because it's related to the procrastination. The more you can actually set up some type of routine and schedule where you maintain and cultivate and help to build this fire, the better. So the spark is there, the flame is there, but it's a flame, but it has the potential, I don't know if you can see here, it has a potential to hold the power and the force of 10, because there's actually 10 smaller flames here in the image that can sustain over a long period of time, or at least to get you where you need to be. Okay. Now this can also create a sense of impatience as well, because that's the other thing too with procrastination is you may want things to be happening faster than they are able to logistically for whatever reason. So there's that. I feel like so far the group two folks are the ones that have actually a little tougher time, because it's like current stuff. So with that being said, like, just take it easy. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Like, it's okay. Because this is very much the little bit more beginning, nascent energy. So, you know, take your time. Now for group three, we have the Seven of Swords. Oh, one last message for group 2 folks. Small progress is still progress. So even if all that you really can consistently give to something, moving towards your desire, goal, whatever, is like maybe once a week, it's still progress because you are still doing that and you're doing that consistently. Like you will get what you want doing something towards that once a week. Rather than, maybe once every couple of months. Right? So the scale of the activity or the amount or what have you, especially since this is a 3 of Swords in your consciousness, like watch that perspective of how you might be valuing or devaluing what you do. Small quote unquote progress is still progress. So don't use this idea of small not being valid or important as a way to not do something. Like you will still get what you're looking for. Hello to new folks coming in. Yeah, so that needs to be said. Okay, so for third group, Seven of Swords is interesting. Because for the third group, this is future focused, right? This feels a little more scattered when it comes to the personal side of power. Like there is a lot of power available, but it is scattered. Like there's a lot of different things to focus on. So if that's the experience, I'm being reminded of the message that came through from here on the 10 of Pentacles about, that extra energy that is needed doesn't come from you. Because one of the things that I relate this Seven of Swords to is over strategizing. And it's centering, in this context, if we're talking about the dream not being big enough and needing to include more people, it's you inadvertently putting yourself in the position of all the other folks and being like, okay, well, how do I do this? And how do I learn that thing? And et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, make sure to not over, if you start to feel dissonance about your ability, your power, your fuel to do something and maintain it when it comes to the group 3 folks, if that starts to feel constrained or not enough, is probably because you are viewing this abundance of energy into areas that are not necessarily for you to be doing. Now, it's not to say that you don't have, that it's not important for you to have the knowledge of things, because having that knowledge of things helps you to pick good people to connect with for the shared dream. But yeah, you have the capacity for more, but the capacity for more is an evolution of what you are doing. In a sense. Hopefully that helps. Let me know if there are questions. Let me read these comments. Who's group 3? Sorry, I missed who belonged to the group. Oh, yes, thank you. People who have accomplished or feel settled where they are but don't know what's next. Yeah. Or even just people who they might not feel accomplished or are disappointed in, what they've been able to get in terms of desires or goals or what have you at this point in their life, and they're just kind of like, okay, well, what's next? What else is there for me to do? Because I don't know. All right, so it really depends. I want to get some more on the 7 of Swords real quick. But yeah, let me know if you have questions about this set of cards, and then we'll move on to the last set, which will be addressing your will, your actual willpower and drive to do things. So one more thing with the Seven of Swords for group 3. Part of what seems like it might be a lot of extra energy is there to be used to help you express more of who you are, to like level that up. And that helps with being able to both perceive and be found by resonant others. So it's not a taking on of more. Per se. 1 second. Yeah. It's not a taking on of more. It's essentially is there to be used as a source of magnetism. So that may feel uncomfortable, but yeah, take the time to sit with what it looks like practically to be more of you. Yeah, it's essentially like how essentially you have to show up for yourself at all levels to essentially be one who can be in bigger things. Hello to folks coming in. Welcome. Nice to see you. Yeah, so like if your output increased sevenfold, we'll say, in terms of the things that you were involved in, or maybe the level of responsibility, etc., it required that much output, like what is actually required for you to show up as your best self? Because that's a lot of energy to work with, to apply to whatever dreams, goals, and visions that you have. It's so interesting. I'm trying to sit with like why that energy feels so chaotic. Because normally I don't feel that with the Seven of Swords. But it's just like, oh my God. What else is here? Yeah, I mean, it was the message. All right, well, if there's questions, let me know. All right, last set. So for group one, as it relates to willpower, we have the Princess of Swords. For group two, we have the Nine of Wands. And group three, we have the Knight of Wands. Real talk for group three, it might be more that Knight of Wands that's like creating that disruptive focused energy, because this one is just like wild. It does not like to be tamed. It does not like to be controlled. It takes a lot to focus that energy. And in this Nine of Wands for group two is literally just this kind of like, this is a card associated with perseverance. So I was picking up potentially some impatience earlier with that group. I literally had just calculated an area of my work in which resulted in 7x the output. Nice. And then we have, right, Princess of Swords with group one, which also is a not as matured energy. It's developing in mastery, but it is and can be a little bit all over the place. It is kind of learning. So it looks like will is across the board. There's a lot of energy for all. And for the most part, with the exception of maybe group two, because this can go either way with the nine, I think it's actually the willpower that's unfocused. Was not expecting that. I was not expecting that. I thought this was actually going to be perspective, and this is actually having to do with the will. It's either unbridled, which is what I pick up from group three, or unfocused. This could be unfocused or not strong enough to counteract the mind or belief systems. Interesting. So why are we having issues with our will? Well, first of all, is for those of you who are here live, if you're watching on the recording, definitely comment below, because I'm actually quite curious about this, because it's definitely not expected. Are you resonating with this difficulty with the will, with your own will? I personally would relate this to solar plexus stuff or mental body stuff. I'm gonna have to use a different deck, because yeah, this is where the all the yeses. Okay. So well, let's get guidance first. Four of Swords, Six of Wands with the Magician on the bottom. Real talk, I feel like this is an issue of not being settled with one's own spirit, one's own soul. That's actually what the battle is. I mean, so underneath the Magician, we have the Moon, Judgment, and Justice. Interesting. So do folks feel like they oh, one second before I ask this question to you all. Okay, yeah, so this is about interesting. So this is about the difference between will and mind. So what's actually causing the problem is your mind. Because the will is clear. The mind is actually supposed to be in service to the will. The will is actually really clear and focused. So the will is actually submitted to the soul, or the inner wisdom of the soul. The mind is not. So the sense that I'm getting with this, and pretty much for all the groups really, is, I think I may have mentioned this before. Oh no, I've mentioned this in the Lightworker Incubator currently. So I'll mention it here. Oftentimes we will mistake or view things through the heart chakra, the astral body, as the perspective from which we make decisions primarily, rather than primarily going with what actually works for us. And so this is the Aries Libra juxtaposition. Because the Libra quality is thinking of others, not a bad thing, obviously. Aries, though, is centering self and putting self needs and wants in the equation first. You need Aries first before you get to Libra in the healthy context, so that you have interdependence. But you can't have healthy Libra energy without strong Aries energy, healthy, strong Aries energy. So that's what we're all focusing on right now. And so essentially this Mercury retrograde, as well as, of course, this eclipse season with the nodes transiting also these two signs, is we are having to address and look at those negative aspects of Libra that are showing up, South Node, right? And in this context, this would be the mind. So even having to say this, leading with the heart. That energy that puts you up here is probably actually going to be a little bit more of a hindrance right now for dealing with this. Because up here is when we start dealing with the relating with others. And obviously, of course, we have to relate with others, but when it comes to focusing the will, which is our inner, when we're talking about the chakra system, the inner sun, the solar plexus, or again, the third level of the aura, mental body, in order for that to be funneled and charging this well, in order for that to be focused, the orientation of this, if you will, has to be internal, has to be to the self. And still showing up out in the outside world, but that brightness of being, of soul power, etc., makes us easy to be identified by others, and also for us to identify others that are resonant, because, you know, everybody has to be doing this work. So not only are we seen, but we're also able to see. And I can feel, even as I'm talking about that, that energy is calming down significantly. Hey, welcome, welcome. What did I just hop into? You hopped into some juiciness. So this is a Mercury Retrograde and Aries message, but we're talking about this sense or this feeling of being like, okay, what now, what next? And Spirit's like, you still have dreams, whether they're dreams from the past, dreams that you're currently procrastinating on, or new dreams for the future. But we're addressing will and willpower, and in general, the willpower is very unfocused and all over the place for everybody, for these three groups. So, for this first group, specifically, when you're dealing with the stuff from the past that you're circling back to and giving attention to, your job is essentially to stay true to the original desire. Because what this person is doing in this image is essentially like fighting off all the other influences that are coming in and perspectives on like maybe what it should be now, or like how do I update it. And it's just like, don't even do all of that. Just address what the initial need is, achieve whatever it is, desire, goal that you want to achieve. Just do that. Stay true to what originally came through and put it to rest. Like, that is a thing. Like, honor the altar, protect the altar, what is true there. And it's not a big thing, right? This person is not in front of a temple. It's not this huge establishment. So just give yourself that gift of doing so. And then that settles this, the erratic energy of this, into something that is more proactive, focused, productive. And that will actually help you to achieve what you want, because if you don't do that, that's actually what's preventing you from getting what you want. And when you do that, you don't actually have to motivate yourself, because it's like you unleash yourself from some shackles, unleash yourself from the burdens, and it's just like, well, this is actually what I want to do. I'm just going to give myself permission to do it. And then you just end up doing it, and it ends up happening faster. And then any time that you're like wanting to go in and like change things, or be like whatever, know that that is most likely, again, centering an outside perspective on what you want, rather than just addressing this. Okay. Can you give a definition of willpower? I feel like I kind of understand what it means, but still feels unclear. Let me try. So, willpower is essentially, I'm going to be using the same language, but willpower is your own mind, your own good sense. If you were unencumbered by, the belief systems, needing to get approval from others, centering other people's perspectives, wanting to get affirmation, like all the other stuff, if that was actually taken off and you really were just left to your own devices and were truly unencumbered, your will really is your first mind, your authentic mind, your true mind, your own inner wisdom, your own soul guidance, basically. I mean, it is basically your soul guidance, right? That's what the willpower is. And it is, when it is clear, when it's strong, I should say, it is clear and it is focused. There's usually not any sense of fear, again, because it really does like neutralize and block out stuff that's actually not relevant. In a lot of ways, it gives the vibe of the Strength card. So, yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Versus the mind, I would say, mind/ego, where it's the construction of you, right? And the construction of you, the personality, is what is informed by the other. But you can see how these two, they're so closely related, but they can be in battle because, even with the focus and the willpower to do something, you still need to use the skills, the knowledge, the experience that you've had to be able to apply it to you going after what you want. So mind, personality, the construct of you still has to be engaged, but it is in service to the will of you, the will of your soul, right? Versus when mind is in control, you're constantly essentially shooting for a moving target and getting frustrated, and willpower is, your will is just, completely unfocused and you can't seem to accomplish anything or stay motivated or consistent, right? Because timing matters, who else is involved matters, but in terms of you are part of the equation, dissonance that comes up is this battle between your will, your innate will for what it is that you want, and the world, the outside world. And to be clear, this will, this is about what you want. Even if, and this is especially true for the third group that's with this 10 of Pentacles, even if it involves others, as it should, if we're talking about bigger dreams and goals, it still has to be connected to what it is that you want, or you won't, your will to stay engaged and maintain, and especially for the amount of time, energy, whatever that has to be invested into to getting the thing is going to take, like, it's only going to work if this is clear and you're centering what it is that you want, what you desire. And if that starts to go too far off center, off the general vicinity that you're going for, you've got to have the courage to walk away. So part of the invitation around that is to get really clear about what your non-negotiables are. because you're going to have to negotiate some things, right? You're not going to be able to get every single little piece exactly how you want it. And the reason you can is because, again, it's not going to involve just you, and 2, you don't know everything. And 3, others are going to be better at some things than you are. And also 4, the world is going to be completely different by the time you're even getting towards this anyway. So you really have to stay in that values, morals, ethics, specificity around the core than anything else. But yeah, doing that will be helpful, because as long as you're going in the direction of the lighthouse, so to speak, you're good. And then you can just make adjustments as needed as time comes up, if there does need to be adjustments. And that's a big if there does actually need to be adjustments. So was that clear, altruistic Ash? Did that help a bit with specifying the difference between will and mind? They are both personal, but mind is very much still mind is the co-created personality, you as you are in this life, and the desires are from a deeper level of like, I want to experience this, I want to try this and this and this. Let me know. For group 2 with the will, again, you do actually have the willpower to persevere. So just do that. Like, that momentum will maintain whatever that momentum is, whatever pace that is for you. Don't put judgment around that. Just do something regularly, regardless of how much of that something is, and you will get where you need to go, and you're fine. So the will is good. Now for this third group, last thing I guess with this is, it also might benefit some of you to allow your will to expand, like live in that focus more. This would be for some of you that might have actually been like not allowing yourself to sit with this 10 of Pentacles that much for whatever reason. It's important to see how far you've come, and then to ascertain what, that which is next for you to focus on. Because once this is clear and focused, the 7 of Swords pans out fine. The energy completely settles and it feels balanced. But when this is unsettled, this feels all over the place. So it's like when this is balanced, the sword in the middle shines more, like it has more weight, and then the other swords on the side feel like an emanation off of the primary. That's a much more powerful place to be, versus if this is unsettled, the energy feels very diffused. The power feels very diffused. Now, another thing that's coming through with group 3 is you may have a lot of desires and may be creating this idea in your head that you don't know what to focus on. That's not actually true, because on the in some ways, this discussion about will versus mind / ego is important to look at, because some of the things that, may be stimulating and maybe exciting are not necessarily core desires. Like there are things that have come on and been added on as you've gained more experience, as you've learned new things, as you're in this place in your life now compared to before. So there's more options that you see, and then you may be doing the thing of like, well, now there's all these other possibilities, these new information points. So now, the vision, the dream, the desire changes, and that's not necessarily the case. So that part is going to be for those who are essentially going to be stepping into or moving towards new dreams, visions, goals that are essentially an evolution from things from the past. Now, for those where it's actually going to be like completely new, it feels like you really just have to be open to learning more, because it's like the experiences and skills that you've learned are or can be transferable. Welcome to folks coming in. We are pretty much at the end, so I'll take questions about how this may relate to your specific experience. Welcome to all the folks coming in. We are at the tail end, but yeah, if you have questions about how this relates to your specific experience, put them in the comments below. And if you're watching this on the recording, once this is up, definitely comment below the video, and I will I'll circle back and check in. Okay, so for folks where there would not be an evolution from what you are developing from, and it really feels like it's a completely brand new slate, and this may be particularly for those who are older, and I mean older than me, so you've already hit your half century, 50 or later. This might be more resonant for you. That actually will come down through your soul. You'll get new desires, if you will. Yep. So it will come through. Yes, these will be saved unless, it is Mercury retrograde, so unless there's some tech issues. I don't think there will be, but this should be saved. This live. How do you know which group you're in? 1, 2, or 3? It really just depends. You might resonate with all of them. It might only be one. All the groups essentially require some self-inquiry, so you can just go back through the questions that I was going through. Before you came on, I was thinking about the impact of the eclipse in North Node in my midheaven. Does that energy feel like it falls under a brand new slate or just an expansion? Oh, well, I mean, you said you resonated with all the groups, but for specifically the group 3, were there not new ideas percolating for you? Because it could also be a situation where it's just like, oh, like I kind of can do this, or I could see where it goes there, but there's nothing that's really strong there. So I just want to be able to hone in correctly to what the question is. Thank you for the question, by the way. I feel like it might be a brand new slate, but they're definitely new things, but they all feel connected to things that you've already been doing. Exactly, there's some lukewarm energy around some things. Interesting, because I got the 10 of Wands, the Ace of Cups on the bottom. Hold on one second. Because it almost feels like there might just need to be a clarity on, is it a clarity on the desires that have already started to percolate through, or breaking through some fear? This 10 of Wands came up again, and we got the Princess of Swords. So, okay, so with the stuff that's already come up, the core essence that connects them is what to pay attention to, but struggling to articulate, sorry, I guess things I've already been doing. Yeah. Is there fear around what's next? Like hidden fear. And no need to apologize. King of Wands, 3 of Swords. Yes, there is. There is fear here. 3 of Swords. So there's fear here because something didn't work out the way you wanted. Doesn't have to be this specific, related specifically to what you're working on, but it could have been other things that also were important to you. Yeah, since that 3 of Swords came out, it's like that group 2 message might be really important. So is there disappointment around current desires, and current meaning like relatively recent? Doesn't have to be like literally this moment, but like, again, over the next like last year or 2 years or something. I don't know if that 100 was for you or somebody else. It doesn't actually show me who does the thing, so let me know. You can just give a thumbs up, or because the thing is, yes, definitely. Okay, so yeah, the group 2 message is really the message, because when I'm speaking about desires, wants, and things, like they're not, it's not short-term goals. Like there's actually like a strong, compelling, because it is a soul level thing. It is, again, it is personal rather than an idea. It's not a mind projection. It's really just like, oh no, like I'm clear, I want this. And we all know what that feels like, to be really clear about our desires, whatever they are, and to go after them and to have achieved them. Like we've all experienced it, we've all done it. We may have forgotten or we may choose to, like, you know, conveniently not look at stuff because we're, you know, in our emotions or what have you, but we all have had it, thankfully. So, as Peter said in the New Testament, you know, like the folks who are lukewarm, like that's really the dangerous folks. This is where, like, you know, when we have lukewarm energy, that's when like the alerts go up for me, because when there's no real movement in the waters, and that kind of stagnant energy, and there's not heat, fire, or coldness, right? When there's no movement, basically, it's like, okay, I have to pay attention to this because there's something deeper there. It's not that there's not anything there. There is, right? But there's something else that's not being addressed. There's something else that's not being resolved. And so in this case, it seems like it's really the disappointment around, this is why this message is connected to the dealing with disappointment message. Okay, so, because we've all been there, and we might actually still be there right now. Yeah, like not getting what we want, and not in this context of like, you know, throwing a tantrum, but when we really, when something is really connected at a core to what we want, what we value, what we put a lot of energy into, what we have felt like, you know, should have worked out, what have you, and it does not, that does deep damage to us emotionally, right? It really creates the negative aspect of that Three of Swords in our mind, in our consciousness. And so essentially, this still comes back to a walk with our own spirit of being like, you know, essentially the question may come up, how do I trust you again? I'm gonna take a sip of water on that. How do I have faith again? Oh, goodness. How do I try again? I believed before and it didn't work out. I said yes and got told no. I touched and agreed. So breathe on that. I'll breathe with you too, because I definitely am feeling it myself. I'm gonna have to go back to that Oracle Talks from the other week again. Yeah, it was I think that was actually right at the beginning of March. Excuse me. I think that was like the first one that dropped in. The disappointment theme is really resonating again. Yeah. How does one trust their own spirit again? Yep. I said yes and got told no. Right. I put in the work. I made the investment. It was working for a while, and then all of a sudden it stopped working. You know, what changed? And you want me to go all in again on something that's even bigger? That also would, you know, create even more fulfillment and more abundance and all the good things, you know, times 10, potentially. But it also means on the flip side, I could also have the negative experience of that times 10. We were talking about this too the other week about when I was going on my math nerd tangent of the sine wave. And as we increase our capacity for more, the amplitude of the wave increases. So the ground that's covered, both positive and negative, increases. And it's really difficult, you know, on a basic mental level, on a nervous system level, of handling more. Even though we want more, we want to lean towards that, but we're like, I can, quote unquote, barely handle the retraction phase, is what I'll say, because what I teach in Sovereign, the entrepreneur coaching program, is you know, retraction is part of the process, but we don't plan for that, or we know about it and we just forget to plan, which is something that I do. And then I get into that phase, I'm like, oh shit, I was supposed to like do things a little differently before, so that this part of the process wouldn't be as harsh. That's why hardening feels so convenient and easy than cracking open again and more. Yeah, I mean, and this literally is the work. This is what conscious evolution is all about. Is this stuff right here. And we've done this in our own lives at different periods, and everyone is doing this in some level, right? We yearn for something better, something more, but it hurts when things get taken away. It hurts when things don't work out. It hurts when we get the thing and things are going well, and then a wrench gets thrown into the plans, and that good thing doesn't last. So why would I want to invest again in something that potentially won't last? So this is really second group. This is actually the second group issue stuff. So if you resonate with group 3 or all the groups, the group 2 work is actually like really important. And as I already mentioned before, this Ace of Wands includes the 10. Once we spend more time with it, it expands and it holds the 10. So the desire increases. Okay, so what we do is essentially what we always have to do when we get to this phase. We have to reaffirm that this is part of the process, that we will be here again, just as we've been here before. And if we don't believe it, we can go back to periods in our life where we were dealing with disappointment at, you know, that stage in our life, whatever that was. And we still found a way to manage to pull through, and new dreams, desires, new fuel, new desires emerged. So we're not new to this, we're true to this. Okay? But part of the self-inquiry that we can do, really the discovery process, looking for the buried treasure, is going back to those times and really looking at and dissecting what was it that actually got me to shift, to change the perspective, to move in a direction of something better for myself. You know, was that shift caused by, you know, a word from someone, you know, a family member, a friend, school counselor, what have you? Did we go deep into body work of some sort where we really tapped into just connecting with ourselves. So maybe we, got into dance, or maybe that's when we first started working with the practice of yoga, or whatever, right? Did we lean into the arts? Did we start traveling? Right? Did travel help us make that shift? Or possibly, because it doesn't be one thing, it can be a combination. Was it conversations with your own soul, your own spirit, with God, Source, Creator? Also, coupled with that, do you feel like, if you especially feel like you're a deeply, like, quote unquote spiritual person, do you place more value in dreams, goals, desires that serve others rather than serve yourself? Like, are your desires allowed to be a part of the equation, or do you think that you have to be erased in the process in order for it to be good, in order for it to be valuable, in order for it to be important? So this new world that we are co-creating is a decision that we make. It is not something that happens to us, although life happens, right? Life definitely happens to us. But it is a decision that we make. Also, there's no rush. Like, the time that it takes to feel that desire. I sometimes have trouble with this language because often I can tell that it signals a person having a certain emotional state, and that's not what desire is. Like, this isn't about always feeling happy or all of that. And maybe that's actually part of what helps to, help, at least for right now, being able to shift through this is, the desire is not a consistent emotional state. It's because the emotions are just going to be the emotions. They're just a biofeedback for what is occurring. So, like, they should be changing. They should be moving. Water should move, right? But desire is an emotion. I would say, let's see if I can give a definition for this right now. Desire could be a decision to express in a certain way. a desire to do certain things, and the doing allows an expression. It's an identification of, oh, this type of activity or engaging with this type of thing or what have you provides an opportunity to express in a certain way. Like, I like using this muscle. I like exploring that. And I've decided that I want more of that in this particular way. Right? Like, it's a decision. And it's a deep decision that your inner wisdom has come to based on the tools in the world around you that you have to play with. But it's okay to wait until that desire is strong enough where there's clarity. Because the clarity comes from the willpower, but the willpower is only going to be clear when the desire is clear, because the willpower is there to direct you as a body, as a person in this life, towards the fulfillment of achieving the desire. So if the desire is dampened, if the flame is low, right? Willpower can't do anything around that. And you can't force a flame to grow. You actually have to give it attention, and you have to protect it. Like, if you just have a single flame and you're trying to have that flame light, a bonfire, it's most likely not going to be able to do it. You actually need a good amount of fire to inflame things, right? Anyway, is this helping? I feel like I'm going on tangents now, but is this answering the question that you had, Overflow? Is this helping you, Altruistic Ash? Yes, thank you. I just came in. Linda with water. Welcome. So, of course, circle back to that dealing with disappointment Oracle talks that I did. Probably be easiest to go to be on YouTube on the Oracle Talks playlist. To find it there. Yeah, I'm really feeling like for some stuff it just might not be time yet. And focusing on self and just general relationship building is good. I'm going to recenter with group 2 messages when I circle back. I think the big takeaway was releasing lukewarm things for now. Yeah. If I can, after I evaluate where fear is impacting my fire. Yeah. And again, those places of also where there might be so yeah, there's this thing about like also allowing yourself to enjoy what you have. Wheel of Fortune came out, so it is a divine timing for sure that's coming up here. But allowing oneself to enjoy what you have now, instead of moving into the creation of what's next. Oh, yeah. Okay, so you were asking about your natal chart, yeah? So one of the things that Spirit relayed to me recently, and I think this was an offshoot of the Oracle talks around the sine wave, is that the expansion retraction thing is, how do I say this? It's not a when it comes to the chart and the nodes moving through the chart and the eclipses and stuff, one of the things that I talk about when people come for the full spectrum session, and if folks do the Lightwork Incubator, is that the top half of the chart is related to more so expansion things, or expanding your desires in the outside world. And when the North Node's going below, the bottom half of the chart is usually when there's more of a focus on self and things that are closer to home. And so there was more. So while that is true in general in terms of personal focus, there was more specificity that was coming in after that Oracle talks about how there are still, even within that, periods of expansion and growth, and also so the top side of the sine wave versus the retraction, or the bottom part of the sine wave. So essentially for the top part, when you're going from the 12th house up to the 10th, that's the growth phase. And then once you're going from the 10th down to the 7th, still in the top half, but 10th to the 7th, that's the retraction phase. And that's just what that is. And then when you get from 7th and then you go to the 4th, even though again that's below the horizon, that's actually a increase phase. And then from the 4th to the 1st, that is a retraction phase, right? So that may also help with the framing, because there may be a sense in the spirit as well, if this resonates, doesn't have to. There may be a sense in the spirit of like, there's actually like still more to do, and like wanting to maintain that, I guess, momentum, if you will. And the phase that's starting is one of like that not being supported energetically with the cycle, not because there's actually something necessarily wrong per se, or that, emotions aren't valid and all that kind of stuff. Like, still there's all the things, but that can be happening. So that can be good to have in mind if it is resonating. And so what I would suggest, or at least to consider, is however it may be relevant to what you're working on, is think about what to maintain. Like what's absolutely necessary if there is retraction, and that's going to be the things that really are true to the core of the desire, the goal, the wish, etc. Because the things that are potentially superfluous or just, again, timing wise not available for greater expansion, will either just lose the energy, or they will kind of fall off. So the North Node and eclipse in the midheaven would be an expansion or retraction of the mastery building. So North Node would be, it would be beginning the process of retraction for those external related goals. Because it's still, again, it's a continuation of the interpretation I was getting from Spirit about the top half still being about outside personal goals, professional career development, going back to school, like all those like bigger things. So yeah, the 10th moving to the 7th section is a retraction around those things, whereas the 12th moving to the 10th is the when it feels like things are opening up and it's like energy moving towards that. So the eclipses, of course, will always correlate to the nodal transits. That's why I always just focus on the nodes. But yeah, so that first quarter quarter of the quadrant of the chart. Okay, this makes sense. Finishing my spring semester now. Yeah. And again, it's not that it's not necessarily that things like fall apart, but yeah, it just will be beginning a retraction phase. So it's kind of like maybe better, not necessarily better, but other language that might not be as charged is to think of it as heading into fall winter phase of the top half, whereas the first phase was spring summer. So the zenith point is the 10th, right? So like it's great there, and it shows you the heights of what is possible for that phase, and then the timing shifts because we immediately go into autumn and in winter. So increasing levels of retraction, but then once we hit 7th and go to 4th, it should be increasing again. So for the math nerds, the sine wave essentially. So more focus on things folks don't see. I would say the thing would be more so about how do I put this? Because it's still external, because it's still top half of the chart. But one of the things that can happen is we're planning, like mind is in linear mode. So we're like, okay, we're just going to continue going up and keep going forward. And it's just like, well, yes, but there has to be a yin time to the yang. And so you'll be forced to double down on those things that actually are true and consistent to what it is that you're working on, whatever that may be. And because essentially what's going to end up happening with the retraction or the autumn winter phase is it's a way essentially to see what actually can survive, what actually has the hardiness to maintain over the long term. And that gets clear, which is the process I've been going through for the last couple of years, is like getting really clear about what actually is sustainable versus things that are intellectually interesting or personally stimulating, what have you. Again, none of it's bad, but it's like, you know, if you think that the other areas that you're putting energy into, that you focus on, that are not getting as much attention or focus or not being as successful, as an indication that everything is bad, then we're kind of missing the point. And it's really just to say that, like, these other things are cool and they're there to have every once in a while, but the thing is the thing, and you just stick with the thing. And plan around that, so that the experience of retraction is not as wobbly or not as destabilizing or decentering, because you're not, you know, having everything fall away. Totally makes sense. Thank you. Good. Hopefully that's helping other folks as well. But yeah, so then, you know, when we get to the bottom half, it's the same, it's just flipped. So it may be a situation where those things that might have become lukewarm or cooled down, they may actually be more appropriate to pop back around at a later time, i.e. when it's during that 7th house to 4th house transit. Excuse me. Or it may have to happen the next time we have the 12th house, 10th house transit. You know, it just depends. Okay, great question though. I'm glad we got that out. I'm glad that brought clarity. And hopefully, actually more importantly, did that neutralize or dissipate the disappointment or negative emotions or bitterness or any of that stuff? Whether actually for you or anyone else, if this resonated with you, did that actually help to dispel? Because from my side, I'm feeling that it just kind of like lifted that burden, like made things clear, so those emotions aren't kind of like hiding, because they're not like shadows in the background. But let me know if that helped to move through things. High key, this is a read for me, so. It's a read for me. But yeah, did that. It made me remember why I stopped doing a lot of things that were not sustainable, and gives me a new context. Okay, good. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, energy feels better. It's one of the tough things about being creative and seeing possibilities. Is it's just like, I'm gonna do all the things, and I can. But also it's like, you know, we have the energy and the ideas for all these things for our life. Right? Like we don't actually have to try to cram everything into, not even that we're trying to do that intentionally, but the beauty of the cyclical nature of life is that we can leverage that timing. It definitely helps neutralize and helps to make decisions from the core, not the heart. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Yay. Okay, any other questions from folks around this? I will get closing messages for us. But but I definitely want to hold space for anything else. I definitely often feel like I'm operating from a place of urgency, like it's my last lifetime. I mean, I know it's my last lifetime, so I get it. Like, that was clear from a young age. I'm like, this is the last one. You know, knock on wood, barring any accidents or any wild things, like I have foreseen that I'll be here for a while. Like at least 120. So I'm gonna, again, barring anything wild, like I'll still be here for a while, but yeah, it still feels like it's the thing is like you see the thing, it's like, okay, immediately let's work on it. And then you have to remember, like, oh wait, I have to wait for material physical plane to to catch up. I have to like take the time to pool certain resources and develop certain relationships and like, why is it taking so long? As if it's really taking long, right? Like, well, if we actually look back at things, like things don't actually like take that long, especially compared to even what our parents and grandparents can do. But you know, it was just that's why we always have to laugh at ourselves and treat ourselves with compassion, because you know, it's hard when you do actually know you're a spirit having a human experience. And you have to wait. and you have to keep yourself busy in the middle of the waiting so that you don't sabotage what you're waiting for. Which is why I often jokingly, but also seriously say, like, so many of us are actually bored. Because the pace at which we want to output and create is definitely significantly faster than what is actually physically possible right now. And so we have to always reaffirm and remind ourselves of the fact that just because there are seemingly delays or that things take longer, or again, there's retraction, there's an ebb and flow in interest or what have you, that there's not a personal fault. Like, we are not the devil incarnate. Just the level of judgment that happens. And I say this again as somebody who, you know, does this as well, especially with a Virgo stellium. Like, I get it. But this is the reminder we have to constantly do. And this is often, I'll share something that comes up often in my conversations with my ancestors, is this persistent message about patience. Yeah, it's just like, I have a very strong will and I have very strong desires. So it's like, if I want something, I want it, I'm gonna go and get it. I'm gonna do what I need to do. And conversely, if I don't want to do something, I'm not gonna get it, do it. So yeah, but there's that. The word, yes. So we love ourselves, we hold compassion for ourselves, we are on time, in time, and we must remain mindful and hold a perspective of what season we are in. So for those of you, whether watching live or on the recording, you know, if that last little part about the North Node and where it's transiting in your chart, that may also sorry, people outside. I think it's maintenance, but I don't know. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, about the astrology. Yeah, if that might be helpful as well too, if you really resonate with group 2 and group 3. And particularly the emotions around resentment, disappointment, etc. That may be helpful. So if the North Node is in in that, last stage of 10th on the way to 9 or 8 or in the 7th house, then you are most likely experiencing that sense of autumn/winter or retraction. That's just the phase. It's not an indictment on you. That is the divine timing, the Wheel of Fortune energy. If it's in the 4th house, though, leaning in towards the 3rd, 2nd, 1st house, same thing. Okay, so those two groups would most likely be feeling that. If you're in the other houses, so 12th up through that first part of 10th, it's more the expansion. So you probably are going to feel more of that 3rd group. And then if you're in the really the 6th house, 5th, and in that first part of, or that bottom half of the 4th, you're going to feel that expansion part. Whether it's personal goals or personal internal goals or personal external goals. Write all the ideas down, though. Everything has value, everything's important, and if it's not time now, it's not a no, it really is a not yet, it's just a later thing. And it may also be showing up in different ways. So there is still value from the pursuits that you have, because if you're in that retraction phase, because what you'll still be doing is fleshing out important ideas. You'll still actually be making inroads. You'll still actually be developing those relationships. So don't shortchange yourself from those things, because it will be used later in some capacity. So, but just be mindful of how much weight or importance you put towards achieving a certain kind of thing with it. If it doesn't pan out, like, it's okay. All right, let me get closing message. I don't see any other questions. So again, please like the video. Please share this with anyone that you vibe with. Please subscribe, follow my account. And of course, if other things pop up, comment below and I will answer any questions or comments that you have. Oh yeah, we are in a new month, so we have new events for Covenant, the new monthly membership. So we have the sermon dropping from Reverend Portia this coming Sunday. So it's dropping the day before the eclipse, so you can check that out. And the title is Bloom Anyhow. So I'm sure that's going to be a great message. The week after that is going to be affirmations from Atia. And then, essentially when we have the sun moving into Taurus is when I'm doing the next meditation. And that actually specifically will be like how in March I was doing it, facilitating an energetic connection to New Maya for ourselves. April is going to be facilitating energetic connection to New Maya for our ancestors. And this is going to be for beneficial, neutral, and malevolent ones to shift everybody. So that's actually going to be the focus this month. And then, of course, we'll have the group session at the end of the month. So if that is something that you are vibing with and resonating with, definitely sign up. You can go to my website, click on membership, or if you're watching on Instagram, you can click the link on my bio to learn more and sign up. And it's a monthly membership, so you can join and at any time, and you'll always have access to the previous material that's been there, so you don't miss out on anything. All right, so closing messages for today. I love how I always say this is going to be a short message, and it was initially going to be, and it's not short. So we have the star card. Oh, with the energetic connection for the ancestors, I definitely would recommend if you're thinking about joining Covenant specifically for the ancestors, which is totally fine. I would say yes, please do so. Before you participate in that, I would love it and highly recommend that you do the personal meditation one for your own energetic connection to Maya at least 5 to 7 days before that. So that meditation will be on April 20th. So yeah, anywhere between the 13th and the 15th at the latest, if you can do that, just so that you have that experience and you can settle into what that feels like, and get yourself connected before you try to facilitate that process for your family. Please center yourself first. You doing your own work does help them and benefit them, but don't try to do work for them at the expense of you. Like, don't opt to like jump in to do something for them if you haven't done it for yourself. Just like point blank. So please do that if you are feeling drawn to be in that process for your ancestors, or if there's something that they are asking for. Please just join early enough so you can have that process for yourself first before we do the work with them. Okay, so the cards again are the Star card, the Death card, and the Ace of Pentacles with the King of Swords on the bottom. Oh, and the Queen of Swords underneath that, and the Ace of Cups underneath. Look at that. All right, so closing messages for this. So I'll actually go in the order of the group. So for month 1, and then I'll do like a general. But for month 1, for group 1, so folks who are looking at desires and goals from the past that they're being asked to have the courage to circle back to, you have the Star card. So this process is and will be healing for you and give you hope, again, for dreaming new dreams and having new visions and coming home more deeply to yourself. So this is what is available to you when you honor yourself to go back and reclaim that which you put on the back burner. For group 2 folks, those of you that resonate with group 2, you have the Death card. This process that you're going through, there was the whole gamut for group 2 folks. So, but this is teaching you the process of what transformation actually looks like. Both the, letting certain things die, both the actual process of transmutation, both the phoenix, like just all the things associated with that is what you are learning and developing power with here. But in particular, also, in addition to that, is that power of the soul and the clarity and power of desires is the gift that you get out of going through this process. So there's such treasure for group 2 as well, similar to group 1. Like it's different stuff, but it's, there's some really important things with that, because you need this clarity and this power and this focus in order to have what's next, which is the Sagittarius card, to be able to shoot that arrow to what's next. Like, you can't get that card until you have this. So this is what you get by doing the work that you need to do for group 2 folks. And in group 3, you have Ace of Pentacles. So this is saying there is really just one thing, and that one thing, of course, can be a big thing, but there is really just one thing to focus on. There really is only one goal that requires your, one thing that requires your attention. And so whether that is a goal that is an evolution of what's been in the past, or something from the future that you are revisiting now that you're further along, or it's completely something new, it doesn't matter. So there is just one place to put the focus for now, at least. As well as there is a specific thing that is going to require a little bit more investment, possibly skills, education, money, whatever, that's going to be required to take that next step on that journey. Like now you have to really figure out what that is and then take that step. Emotionally, it may feel like a risk, but it's not. Like, it's kind of like that beginning again energy kind of thing, not a risky, fly by the seat of your pants thing. Like, it's very purposeful because it's Pentacles. So there is something specific that you, now that you have clarity about what the one thing is after you go through this process of this self-reflection, and whatever area is actually needing to be worked on for you, then you'll know specifically what you actually have to do, and you need to focus on that. And it is something that will be a longer process compared to what you've done in the past. Like the speed at which you might have been able to do things before in achieving previous goals, that's not going to be the speed now. So it's important to get used to sustaining action over a longer period of time. And then any general stuff from this before we bounce? You know what you're doing. Your soul knows what it's doing. It is literally taking the vastness of all the possibilities and things that is available. It is seeing your life as a whole. So I know we view our life in terms of past, present, and future, but your soul is seeing you as all time, space. Right? And so the vastness of you, if we really take a look at a human's entire lifetime and all the experiences, all the thoughts and all the emotions, the relationships, just all of that is here. Your soul sees all of that. And that is coupled with what is available to you in the world, and communicate certain things to you as desires to help you focus on a particular path that you're being led down in order to have certain experiences. And there's all these different versions of you along the way. But this is a little bit easier to kind of grapple with and deal with compared to this, at least conceptually for us. Because this is when we have that linearity of past, present, and future. So this helps us feel a little bit more tethered and a little bit more centered, right? With this Ace of Pentacles, it helps focus things. There's actually not a lot that we actually have to do. So we can't take busyness as a sign of being in alignment. Being in alignment really is simplicity and flow. And that can be challenging for us because it's easy, and culturally in the modern world, for many of us, especially first world countries, but also possibly others, ease and flow and simplicity and not working yourself half to death is not valued. So, being told or being allowed to enjoy, to lounge more, to savor more, to center personal fulfillment more, can feel like anathema, but it's not really anathema to you. It's really to the constructs around you. Because trust and believe you're still engaged with the rest of the world, but the rest of the world doesn't require 100% of your attention. That feels like that was a mic drop. The rest of the world does not require 100% of your attention. Or as the Oracle likes to say, mind your business. All right, y'all. Anything before we go? Are we good? Are we good? See the hearts? I think we're good. All right. So yeah, those are all the things. If you'd like to make a donation for this offering, you can do so either in the description below or again in my profile on IG. Join Covenant if you feel so drawn. Otherwise, you can check out other offerings that I have on my website, innersunalchemy.com. Again, that is innersunalchemy.com. Check out the other Oracle talks on my YouTube channel or on IG, whichever you prefer. And God willing, I will see you next time. Have a happy Mercury retrograde in Aries. Enjoy the rest of your eclipse season. Take it easy. Let the eclipse do what it's gonna do. Stop pushing. Just ride the wave. And if you are in that period of retraction, as I am and have been, take a breath and give thanks to the fact that you got a new explanation for divine timing. And go chill the fuck out. All right, love y'all. Bye.